Kent and Cook on the inside. They come up to the green flag, and Kent in the pole sitter gets a jump, but we have a crash further back with two MPC cars, Tazio Otis and Chris Wright, and one of the LMP3 cars. We did get the green flag. That is the number 71 of JC Perez. That car was repaired earlier in the week after it crashed yesterday with body parts used from the car that Robbie Foley was not driving in today's race. We are still green. Paul Fix has gone around on the outside of turn 10, coming onto the front straight as well. Damage to the nose of his red Ave Riley. Not a good start.
Indeed not. We will we're still
green.
Yeah, we are still green, but number 44 car is stranded on the racetrack right at the exit of the final corner. Let's have a look at the replay here, see if we can see what happened. And number 71 car appeared to get into the back of the number 44 there. I think JC Perez, brand new to this sport, I think just getting a little bit over enthusiastic there on the throttle pedal, nailed the back of the 44 car, spun that around, and a lot of damage to the particularly number 71 car. That was the car, one of the cars that was repaired after the incident yesterday.
I can hear Paul Fix trying to get going. The number 38 comes through and manages to avoid most of the chaos. That was Stephen Doss. He was well behind the rest of the field, but Paul Fix has continued. He will not be a happy camper as he's left bits and pieces of carbon fiber from his car around the circuit. That was JC Perez, though, somebody with not a lot of experience off of start, running into the back of Paul Fix with a great deal of experience in racing.
Yeah, that's true. Mainly in the Trans Am cars, certainly, Paul. Not really, still getting used to these LMP3 cars. That unique Ave Riley, a lot of debris on the front straight of the car, so having to run through.
I don't like seeing that, no. Jeremy Shaw, because of course carbon shards lead to flat tires, and in this series you should not change your tires, as Chris Wright is having just an awful day. In the qualifying session had a bit of an engine problem.
No, he didn't.
Well,
a big engine problem.
Big engine problem with something coming through the block of the engine, I believe is what you told me at lunch.
Ventilated block, not ventilated brakes, ventilated block, unfortunately. Damage to the front of that car. I didn't see where he was caught up in that, because he should have been ahead of them on the grid, wasn't he? Or was he?
No, he started dead last.
Oh, because of the change of engine.
Because of the change. But he ran right into the back of that number 71. Paul Fix has continued around. That will be a visit to the pit lane for the red number 44. Quite a bit of damage to the nose of that car and to the tail end on the right-hand side. Now, if they have the spares, they can go ahead and throw them on, but any chance of a win in class for Paul Fix goes out the window unless something happens to the other LMP3 Masters class runners, which this weekend there are two. Naj Hussain in the number 3, the black and green car, comes in as the points leader this weekend. Paul Fix was hoping to have a good weekend to try and catch up to the ESM driver. This is not the way he wanted to start, though. JC Perez is still stopped out on track just after the start-finish line, so we managed to move a little bit.
So once again, a look at the replay there, and well, it doesn't seem to be much to say other than the fact JC Perez got on the throttle with a little bit too much alacrity there and ran into the back of Paul Fix. It wasn't as if Paul Fix was a long way behind the car in front of him. So I'm afraid he got to pin that on JC. Just a lack of experience there, and he was super enthusiastic. He showed very good pace in the practice sessions, and was just a little bit too anxious to get this race underway. He made a mistake yesterday, put his hand up to that, but even with that, he was encouraged by the pace he had shown and was anxious to prove it in this race. Unfortunately, a little bit too much so, because he clearly got at the back of Paul Fix, and poor old Chris Wright nowhere to go. The official grid showed both number 7 car and number 72, the two cars I talked about, having had difficulties in qualifying. Otis with the right rear suspension failure, and the number 7 car with the engine problem. Both were put to the back, and yeah, it's just nothing's gone right for Chris this weekend, that's for sure. Chris riding car number 7, the two JDC Motorsport same cars starting from the back.
This is good news for our championship points leader, the number 18 in MPC, Kyle Masson, because the two guys who are close to him in points, they've just disappeared. That's Chris Wright.
Yes.
Went back out on track and nosed it, well, sort of sideswiped a tire barrier at turn 5, that's Moss Corner, and now Water is running with well, some alacrity down the course of the track. He was coming around to try and catch up to the rest of the field with no left front on the car. He did have a tire, but no downforce, and just took a bit too much speed into that.
Yeah, and I'm afraid for the second week in a row, the MPs, well, the championship in general, just not exactly covering themselves with glory. That was a pretty silly thing to do, quite frankly. It looked like there was damage already to the left front of that car. There's another car wobbling its way back to the pit lane.
I wonder if that wouldn't be from a tire going down from running over all of the carbon shards, yes. Perhaps.
Stephen Dawes.
Performance Tech. Stephen is just coming into turn 2, trying to make the left-hander, but with right rear issues, it's harder than you would think. The car is just darting around on him.
Yeah, toe link is broken on that right rear, so the wheel just wobbling around, giving him no consistent control whatsoever. He's going to try and get it back to the pits. Doesn't need to rush though, because he's not going to be able to be going anywhere in this race. No,
he's only now entering turn 3. The rest of the field is already halfway down the Mario Andretti straight.
If I were you, Steve, I'd park it. This is it's a relatively short race. Don't do any more damage to the car, and at least give the crew an opportunity to fix it for tomorrow's race. You're not going to make any positions this afternoon.
And that's exactly what he's doing right now, is creating more damage to the car, because the tire, with a mind of its own, is turning left inward toward the car as if somebody had a steering wheel and was doing it on their own.
Yeah, rear wheel steer there to the nth degree for Stephen Dawes. Another brand new driver to the sport this season. And he is not going to make any progress. Actually, he got the fastest lap of the race last time, because we haven't yet had a lap under green, and because he fell back on the first lap for some reason. Presumably it was a different reason. Anyhow, Chris Wright then will end his race in the fence, and there's a whole stream of water now running across the road there in turn 5. That's going to make things very, very tricky for the drivers. All that water was held up in the tyre barrier. Once that tyre barrier was dislodged, the water was let go, and is now running freely across the track. So that's going to make it very, very tricky.
Just another quick thing about Stephen Dawes. You would feel that if Brent O'Neill got on the radio to him and said, hey, you've broken a toe link, you might want to stop, he would understand better than most, because he's been a part of the Performance Tech pit crew for the last 2 years. So he understands what's going on. He's somebody who really wanted to get involved with racing after doing the Jeff Gordon driving school. So meeting Jeff Gordon at the Daytona 24 this year was a significant check off the bucket list. Stephen does need to give up the ghost. He's made it almost to turn 8 though. Jeremy, he might get this back, but the question is, how bad is it going to be for tomorrow's race?
That's the thing. I mean, I don't think they're going to be able to repair that car for this race to do anything significant soon. It's a 45-minute race. We're almost 10 minutes into it already, and I mean, I guess there's a chance the crew might be able to repair it, but he's not going to make up position. He's going to be laps and laps behind, mind you, with the comedy of errors that's unfolding. Maybe some other people will fall out and he gets some more championship points, but hey, that's being somewhat facetious, which is unnecessary. And Tazio Otis, we haven't seen Tazio's car either, have we?
He was involved in that first lap schmozzle. He sort of came around
at the back, so
yeah, he came around driver's left of the standing Perez car and got airborne with the right rear when he ran over something. Yeah. So he's got a bit of damage as well to deal with. Well, we've got a moment of quiet. We should talk about the championship battle. Ooh, as Stephen Dawes' tire has now come off the rim, and it is ripping apart damage. The body.
I mean, quite frankly, this is pretty silly. He's costing himself a lot of money here by carrying on here. The tire is flailing around, and it's going to just damage a lot more bodywork, which is not cheap on these cars. Very strange. So we're still in the yellow. We've now got it'll be 4 laps completed this time around, and Kenton Cook leads away from Colin Thompson, who's not going to be going green for some while yet. There's Tazio Otis' yellow and black number 72 car coming back on the end of a hook. Number 71 car on the back of a flatbed, and we've still got to wait for all this action to be cleared up before we can get around to get number 7 car out of the way as well.
So we've got 4 cars stopped on track, 2 that have made it back to the pit lane. That's 6 cars damaged within the first, well, 10 seconds of not even 5 seconds of racing.
Well, yeah, I mean, the green flag had barely come out, hadn't it? You're absolutely right.
Started with 18 cars, so a third of the field has been virtually eliminated in that first corner, or last corner incident of before even the first lap. But Jeremy, while we've got a minute,
I'll tell you what, it's lucky we've got an awful lot of wreckers here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, so they're doing a great job of getting all 3 cars out of the way at the same time.
Thank you to our cleanup crews, our marshals. Thank you for giving up your time. We understand that we could not be racing without you. So, for a little bit of a positive moment here, we do have a championship going on, and we do have a potential for a massive championship shakeup.
Yeah, because the championship leader coming into this weekend, Andres Gutierrez, the youngster from Mexico, from Monterrey, Mexico, just 17 years of age. He is generally the youngest driver in the field, but he is not here this weekend. A family vacation that had been organised many months ago, before he was even considering running for the championship.
But
no. And the team owner of Performance Tech, Brent O'Neill, was pleading with the family to allow him to come here and take some time off and come and race the car, but no, Mum said no. So he will not be racing at all this weekend, as Paul Fix's car is pushed back into the paddock, clearly out of the race.